Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Who Are You podcast. I'm your host, Connor Overbay. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are always happy to have a new listener, a new watcher, wherever you guys are taking in our content. Thank you guys for checking us out today. If you guys are new here and want to see some more behind-the-scenes stuff, see some other things that me and Shannon got going on or our guests got going on, you guys can give us a follow on all of our social media. It's going to be at Who Are You Pod for everything from Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all the normal spots. You guys know where to find us nowadays. And if you guys want to check out our YouTube channel, it's going to be Who Are You podcast, and you'll be able to see all of our video sides of things there. But today, sitting down with two very special guests, other fellow podcasters.
Yeah.
Today, I'm sitting down with the host of the Trash to Treasures podcast, Mr. Kyle and Mr. Max today. Welcome to the podcast, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, man. I'm super stoked about this.
Hell yeah,
awesome.
man. Whenever you guys first walked in, I love seeing it. You guys were brought in some guitars. We got a special thing at the end of the show today we're going to be doing, and sitting down with two fellow podcasters, man. I love sitting down and talking to people who are passionate about doing this, and it's not just a money grab. There's some people, as we were talking about before, they start their podcast, and they're like, I'm 2 episodes in. Why aren't people calling me to hand me bags of cash?
You're gonna become famous, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those things, and it's cool and refreshing to meet two guys who are in it just to have a good time. You guys obviously are friends, and you guys sit down with a very mix of eclectic people. And I've even seen one of my old guests was on there.
Watley?
To say Scott Watley was on there.
Oh, no way, nice.
I thought Scott was a badass dude. We had a great conversation on here. It was probably about 2 months ago he was on, but I saw him pop up on y'all's show, and I was like, sweet.
That's actually what caught my attention of this podcast. And yeah, thanks again for having us on. But I saw Watley was on here, and I've done some comedy shows with him.
Nice. And
I started delving into this, and I'm like, I told Max, I'm like, have you checked out Who Are You yet? And he's like, no. I'm like, you're doing it right, and man, hats off to you guys.
I appreciate you, man.
Awesome.
It's just a little thing that we like to do, man. It's something that we've really just kind of fell in love with, and it's become like a part of our natural week. Every week I give her a rundown. I'm like, hey, this is who we're having on the podcast this week. This is what they do, blah, 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 blah. And we just do rundowns, and we've had fun, man. And she's been on the show 1,000 times. She's like, anytime where we're not have a guest available, or we just want to sit down and give an update on our lives, we sit down and just shoot the shit. Usually have a beer or two and have a good time.
Yeah, we call them family episodes.
It's the best time, and we call them Sunday hangouts. But before we get too deep into the conversation, let everybody know where they can follow you guys on any of the social media, anything you guys want to promote here right at the front.
Okay. Well, as far as the show goes, I don't have any personal social medias. It's just a personal choice of mine. But you can always reach me or Max or Shane Gardner at trash_treasure_podcast. And I know Max has a couple of his own.
Yeah. You can reach me at MBRE Films on Instagram, and then you can also reach me at Unlimited Solutions FL on Instagram.
Love it. So, as I was telling you guys, we're gonna get to know a little bit of y'all's background. Get to know some of your backstories and everything. And we'll start off with you, Kyle. Are you originally from Florida?
Yes, I was born in New Smyrna, and then typical. Kind of, if it is typical, like single mother situation, we just we moved around almost immediately, like a year after my life, just kind of existing where we could, spent all over the east coast of Florida, a lot of Volusia County here, there, just kind of everywhere. Eventually made our way up to Massachusetts for 3 years to live with my grandparents.
Okay.
Trying to kind of get away from some stuff going on. And then by the grace of God, my mother fell in love with a wonderful man. Shout out to my father, Rick Hall. He kind of took over the lease on this busted car, and they fell in love, and I ended up right back where I was born, just by sheer coincidence. So
that's crazy, man. Right? Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And what about you, Max?
So I was born in Venezuela.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My family moved here in '99. Actually to Edgewater.
Okay.
Which was that's where we landed in Miami. Immediately moved to Edgewater, and that's kind of where my home has been since the very beginning.
How old were you when you first came here?
I was 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were in Venezuela for a little while.
Yeah. I was raised kind of in Venezuela.
Of course.
A lot of culture, and then moved here. I had a lot of family here, and then kind of just,
What was the culture shock like for being a 9-year-old, you know?
Oh, it was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge. Well, I mean, you come from Venezuela is considered a third world country. So like the streets are dirty and this and the other and blah, blah, and then you come here and everything's just like impeccable. That was a huge shock, like right off the bat.
I bet.
No potholes on the streets. You don't have to be swerving left and right. So things like that really were really like impactful, but I was a kid, you know, I found friends immediately. I picked up on the language immediately.
Good.
So I was able to just kind of coexist, you know, and high school friend right here, you know, we all grew up surfing, so
that's badass.
So
dude.
I was able to get into that surfing, you know, community, and yeah, man, it's been amazing.
That's cool, man. I say where Shannon works, she works at the law office of Randy Reap, and a lot of her coworkers are, was it Brazilian, Colombian, Venezuelan as well. That's what I thought as well.
Yeah.
And it's cool hearing everybody's stories because they have a similar thing to you.
Yeah.
And what I find amazing for people who are moving from another country to the United States is, you know, learning English.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of people, obviously us Americans, it's our first language. We know how to speak it. But you know, it's like us trying to go learn Spanish. When we just go there, we wouldn't learn as quickly. I've always found that people from other countries really pick up English and other languages very quickly because doesn't Camilla speak like 3 or 4 languages?
Been here a while.
Yeah.
But probably like less than 10 years.
But yeah, but she speaks like Portuguese, she speaks Spanish, she speaks obviously English and everything.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see. And like we were talking about trade work before, obviously in trade work, there's a lot of people from other countries and everything. And I love hearing their stories because I find it interesting because, you know, at least me personally, I don't know about you guys, I haven't traveled too far outside the United States to like other countries. Like we've gone on cruises to Mexico and tourist spots, but I haven't gone to Venezuela or, you know, Puerto Rico or other countries like that. So I would just always find it interesting.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
no, it's definitely like, you know, on the picking up the language thing, if you look at my sister who got here when she was 16, I got here when I was 9. I don't know what it is about being a child. You just pick up things a little quicker.
Very true.
You know what I mean? So, but if you listen to my sister speak English, it's very Hispanic. You know what I mean? So I think it's you know, me being able to move here at a very young age, I was able to just adapt very easily. And my mom told me, it's like, if you forget Spanish, I'll hang you. So she made sure that never left my brain. So I still speak Spanish, but it's funny how that worked. I was able to pick it up immediately.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I've actually started looking into like Duolingo and everything. I would think it would be good. Like I think it'd be cool. I walked up and was able to have a full conversation speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
I think that's something cool.
I'm on Babbel. It's not a sponsorship.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm on Babbel with because I want to learn Italian because
that's
my father was Italian. So
so
that's kind of where I'm at with that. But I heard great things about Duolingo too.
Yeah. I got Babbel because, like, I'm with you. Like, I was a foreman in the trade world for a long time, and it's almost like, especially here in Florida, I can't speak to all the other states. I know there's a lot. There's an eclectic group, especially when you get into, like, a metropolitan area like this. But in the trade world, especially when you look like me, like, you have to learn Spanish to some degree because, I mean, nobody really knows what I am. Yeah. They know I'm a dirty version of white, but they always go with Spanish, so they just assume, they're like, all right, he's probably... They peg me as a mix of Puerto Rican and Colombian.
Gotcha.
That's classic. That's awesome.
they know my ass is white. they can look at me like
there's no question.
He's definitely white. Yeah, but no, that's so. You were talking about like you, Kyle, moving around and all that stuff, and like I feel you on like the stepfather thing. You know, I was lucky enough where even when my parents split, I was 5. Both my parents stayed in my life. It was just a very aggressive battle. You know, custody, blah blah blah, not liking each other, and now they're friends. You know, everybody's cool now, but you know, that stepfather stepping into your life is a big thing, and I respect that a lot for a lot of people. You know, we've had people come on here who are stepfathers, and you know, whenever I was young, I was an asshole because I was like, who's this guy trying to come into my life? Like, who the fuck are you? You're not my dad, blah blah blah.
Which I feel like it's human though,
of course,
too, you know?
Yeah, because you feel like someone's new and someone's trying to take your father's spot, you know, and obviously depending on what your situation is with your father, that could be a good thing, or it could be a thing where you're like, you know, like me, where I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're like, why are you here? You know what I mean? And as I've gotten older, I've respected it, and you know, he raised me. You know, he helped pay the bills, helped make sure I was stayed fed and clothed and everything, just like my father did. And it's you know, you're taking on something. You know, some people are like, oh, that's not your kid. And then you know, you talk to your stepfather. I'm sure he will call you your son. You know, he raised you. You know, that's a thing.
Yeah, 100%. My situation was a little like, I mean, it was just unique to me, as everybody's life is. You know, I've come to learn. And I don't like looking at things as better or worse, you know, like, because everybody, that's one thing we've learned as podcasters is Adam Lowry taught us, you know, it doesn't matter if you were born in a ditch or in a mansion, we're going to interpret problems with the same scale. So like my subjective journey was, my biological father wasn't a great man. He wasn't in my life. It was just a pretty bad person.
Yeah.
So it was like, and then when I was 13, he passed away, and that was about the same timeline that Rick came into our lives. So like I was tormented by that instinct of like, who's this guy taking my father's spot? I know he's a better guy. Oh my God, my biological dad just died. So now I'm going to rebel harder than, I went off the rails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it took me many years to really realize how important that man is in my life. I wouldn't have the trade. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Like there's a statistical probability that I would have checked out.
Yeah.
Or at least ended up in a much darker path. So like, I'm blessed as they come for a man like that to step up, to deal with, like you were saying, like as a young man, a stepfather comes into your life and you kind of rebel.
I was rebellious as shit growing up, 100%.
And he loved my mother enough and saw enough potential in me to hang in there.
Yeah.
Like, I like to think I'd be the same man, but you never, I don't think that's the kind of thing you're going to know until you're in the situation. So like, to answer your question, like I couldn't be more thankful, and I tell him as much as I can. I actively try to go out of my way and be like, man, I wouldn't be, just thank you. Thank you for being you.
100%, man. It's a big thing, and I totally agree with you. Like as I've gotten older and become a man myself, like moving out of the house, doing my things, seeing what they were trying to teach me. Like you don't see it when they're trying to tell you right there when you're a young man. You're like, whatever, I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right.
I'm like 10 feet tall. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I'm going to take this world over, kind of thing. And life hits you in the mouth very quickly.
Yeah.
The famous saying goes, you have a plan until you get punched in the face.
Punched in the face.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there and like I like rethink about stories that he told me, my dad told me, my mom told me, even my stepmom, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, they're right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, even to this day, like one thing I talk about very frequently on the podcast is how fast time goes.
Oh man.
Like
the older you get, the quicker it goes.
Exactly.
Too.
Like
It's
18
wild.
from 25, dude, snap of a finger. Like I moved out when I turned 18. Me and her weren't even dating yet, and she helped me move out of my mom's place, and we had roommates, and we had to have roommates because we couldn't afford. We were doing restaurant stuff. We were in college and all this kind of stuff to getting out of that, and having roommates move out on you, and you have to figure shit out, and just figuring the part of life out. And like I think about it now all the time, and like they probably watch this. You guys are right, kind of thing. But that's the part that I find cool now about getting older is having these times now where you guys are adults and I'm an adult, and I can ask my parents a question. Be like, hey, how do taxes work? Or hey, I'm looking to buy a home. What was your mindset when you were buying a house, kind of thing? So it's just
beautiful.
It is.
Yeah. I'll say it's pretty wild when you say it, because I know that's one that I never knew. Like the financial stuff, like having to like, I don't know about Max,
man.
but like,
No,
dude, I learned it the worst, but like, that's why one of the reasons we ask on our show is like, what did you have to learn the hard way? Because that's something I like insisted on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's something I like shedding light on people, because they don't talk about it in school. They're not like, hey, this is how you do taxes. Hey, this is how you buy a house. This is how you avoid getting in debt, instead of just sending 21-year-old me with a newly found trade hourly, and I'm just like, I want that truck, I want that house, I want that, I want that. And then when you get to the backside of it, you're like, ooh, that was a mistake.
It's finances are a thing, and like we've had people on here, like a lot of times whenever I have people who are in certain trades or business owners and everything, I'm trying to learn about their stuff. And we've had financial guys on here before. What was his fucking name? I'm trying to remember his name. I'll think of it later. Anyways, we've had a guy on here who's like a financial dude, and like he was 21 years old, became a nurse, and was living in someone's attic, and then was able to buy houses and start, investing and doing all that kind of stuff. Line Money Management is the name of it. And it's interesting to learn the power of money, because as you said, man, people think it's taboo to talk about it. People, even families don't talk about it. In other countries, family put money together and get a house together.
Yes.
There's multiple generations in a house. Like you're like in, I think it's Italy is like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And
I wish my family family would have taken up on that technique, but we didn't. But
funny. It's a family joke right now where we're all talking about getting a family compound.
Yeah,
like to be 100% honest with you, just have a couple houses on a big ass piece of land.
Exactly.
I think that's a move personally.
My family and I are like we're talking about it in the midst of doing that right now, growing the family property, and just because I mean it's super popular in Middle Eastern countries. I know that where like whole families are just they're pulling their money.
Yeah,
they'll roll up in like a Bentley or something, and they're like, "Dude, you're a construction guy. How do you own that?" I'm like, "Well, because I own it with 15 people."
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And eventually you pay it off, and it's pretty wild. It's wild to think that we don't see that in America very much.
Yeah,
it's the education of it, or at least the awareness of it. That doesn't really exist, and everybody's always in a level of competition here. I feel like everyone's competing with each other instead of like collaborating with each other. And it's like, dude, like.
It's an ego thing.
Ego.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I made it from the dirt, and now I have this multi-million-dollar house and all that kind of stuff. And like, hey, no hate to people, you know what I mean? Like, nothing wrong with that kind of thing. But I feel like it is a big ego thing. And I feel like, if you have the family compound, you don't have to see each other every day. It's you know what I mean? You just have your house. They're like an acre down the road or from you, and you're just chilling, We
talked about putting like right in the center of the property that because I love my parents and I love my family. I make time for them, but I also told them it's like I don't want to.
Not every day.
Like, don't come knocking on my door every day.
Yeah.
But like we talked about, like you build a compound and then right in the beginning or right in the middle, like a pool, a little grill area and like some, horseshoes and stuff to where we congregate. This is the safe zone.
That'd be cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I call you to come over. But other than that, Ma, stay over there. I love you.
No, I love it. And let's get into y'all's show, man. You know what I mean? You guys obviously are doing a podcast, and to be honest, it's awesome. Everything I see.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and you guys get into the nitty-gritty of stuff, which I personally like as well. Like, that's how we are. Like, one of our sponsors of the podcast is BetterHelp. So we talk about, we're big about.
Dude, that's awesome.
For you.
Yeah, we're big about men talking about mental health. Like with me, I had horrible depression growing up, still deal with it to this day. And I think it's good to really get that nitty-gritty stuff out there because a lot of people feel like it's uncomfortable to talk about. And like sometimes it is, but I feel like it's good for the person who's watching it. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. So tell me about your show. Like what caused the idea for it? You guys have been working on it now for a while. You guys said you're on episode 46 or something?
46 released.
Yeah, 46. So that's a big milestone as well. Most people won't make it past the first 10. So tell me about it.
Well, the idea came to me. I had just come out of a divorce, and I was in the darkest time of my life. I was like most people. I feel like I wasn't with someone to be happy. I was just with someone so I wasn't alone. And it exploded in my face. So I found myself somewhere in the darkness starting to be a stand-up comic. And in there, I created a character called the White Trash Prince because that's all I ever believed myself to be. White trash piece of shit from nowhere. Literally, like I believed I was yeah, and it's a toxic way to think about yourself. And I know that now through the journey. But yeah, the podcast kind of came along once I realized, in performing arts, you have two choices. You hustle every night and you get on stage. Hopefully, you get that clip, you get that thing that's going to take you to the next pantheon to where you maybe can do this for a living. But I just couldn't do that with my job. Obviously, I love talking. It's good conversation is probably my favorite art form. So it just kind of clicked. I was like, podcasting, I can build a platform. I can still promote my comedy and I can get to know people. And it originally was going to be called Talking Trash with Kyle Eastburn. And then somebody else had the name. So, and it was going to be like your standard comedy podcast, just talking shit.
Yeah.
Just looking for that funny bit, talking nonsense. And I just kind of was sitting in that, wanting better for myself and depressed and anxious and just knowing I wanted better and knowing that I was the one standing in my own way. Like, yeah, there may have been some external factors, but most of it's right here. Well, I'd say 90% of my problems were right in here, and it was time to look in the mirror. So I decided that I was going to ask as many people as humanly possible how they do it on a day-to-day basis because we're all going through it. Every single person in the world. And I've known Max, like I said, most of my life since I've been in New Smyrna. It was always kind of like in and out. Yeah. That's how New Smyrna works. But him, and shout out to Camilio Prater. Yeah. They ran a podcast for, was it Shindig?
Shindig's podcast, yeah.
They ran a little one a while back. So I just knew I wanted to start a podcast. I don't know anything about video and stuff. So I just reached out to Max. I'm like, hey, man, I got this idea for a podcast. Are you interested? And Yeah, I mean, you can kind of take it from there.
Yeah, it was. I saw the post on Facebook, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I used to run this other podcast, and I'd been waiting for somebody to ask me."
Nice.
It's funny how that works. Like, I could have probably done it myself.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how you have to wait for that like extra push.
Yeah, the thing.
Yeah, it's like, and as soon as I saw his his question, I was just like, "Hey, man, I've done this and I've done that." It's like, how about we just get started and see what happens? And I got into it thinking I was just gonna like be a Jamie, to Joe Rogan, like just kind of help you set up the lighting, cameras, audio, make sure we could get. And all of a sudden, he makes a banner. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna go make the banner." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "All right, cool, sounds good." And he sends me a picture of the banner, and my name is on the banner.
On the bottom part.
It's like Cal Eastburn, Max Bressan. I'm like, why is my name on the banner?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, so it went from like me thinking I was just going to be like the production guy to me being a co-host." Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, it's changed my life the last year. And 100%.
Little addendum to that is like how I actually got him on the show though is our first show with I call him Chris Score. Mm-hmm. Max, like if this is the studio, Max is sitting, cameras here, Max is sitting over there on a production box, and like you could see his face. And he was so drawn into the conversation immediately that he's asking questions. I'm like, "Max, get on the couch.
Just come talk.
Get on the couch. Get in the shot." And then we just ran with it from there. But anyways, go ahead.
I love it, man. That's badass.
No, it's amazing, and it's like one thing that the one thing that we keep bringing up is you think you're going to get into it, you think you're going to get sponsors immediately, think you're going to make all this money. Oh my God, all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But what really impacted me with the podcast was. It was almost like therapy. Last year was one of the hardest years of my life. I'm going through some personal stuff, and finances and everything just kind of went haywire. But having that Wednesday locked in every week, knowing that he had put a guest in, or I could, invite one of my friends, it literally became like therapy. And if it wasn't for those Wednesdays, I don't know a lot of bad stuff would have happened last year. Gotcha. And it's something that's really, it's been brought up to my attention so many times just because it's like you don't really see the meaning until it really affects you months or a year down the road.
100%.
And it's been heaven sent almost.
That's beautiful, man. And that's what it should be, dude. Like as you're saying, like people think they're gonna make a shit ton of money doing this, And I feel like the art of conversation is lost, as we were talking about before the podcast, man. Yeah. Like, we're always looking at screens, and I'm guilty of it 100%. I sit there and scroll on social media all the time. Yeah. But sitting here and just talking to people, man, getting that human interaction, human to human, like we went through COVID, and now that's kind of gone and like, in the past and stuff, but that fucked a lot of people up.
Oh, yeah.
People were scared to talk to each other, and I'm sure with the political climate right now, everybody's pissed off and blah, 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 blah. But... I feel like people are forgetting that human aspect of it. Yeah, we're social creatures, man. Yeah. We built empires together. The United States was built with people, working together. Obviously, there's some other shit, but that's for another time.
It was still people.
It was still they were still people, but there was this other shit going on. Not saying it was good, but but it's just that social interaction, man. It's good.
It was definitely social interaction.
I didn't say it was. I didn't say it was positive social interaction. That's not at all what I said.
It was social interaction. That's awesome.
I got a joke on stage. I'm not going to say it here, because I haven't even had the balls to say it on stage. But
that's funny.
Let's just say we accomplished a lot.
Yeah, there's so much to life, man, and like that's something like with me, like I've grown up like. I am lucky where I have like 5-6 friends that I've grown up with for damn near 20 years,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and just having that social aspect of it. That's why I played sports. I made friends doing that kind of stuff, people I still talk to. And, it's important to get out there and talk to people.
Community, man. Community is everything.
And learning perspectives, dude.
Yes.
That's the thing. You guys, like, you sit down with someone and, like, I don't always agree with people. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm sitting down with them, maybe I don't agree with you. I'm not going to sit here and fight you on the podcast. That's not my style personally.
Right.
But I'll listen to you, and I want to hear the perspective of why you feel that way. Because maybe I'm like, okay, I can see your point there, and help soften whatever I feel, because everybody has their own ideas on things.
It's just respect. You don't have to agree to respect their perspective.
Exactly.
That's why, like, our motto is respect their perspective.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Like, we've never had a podcast here where we don't leave shaking hands friendly. You know what I mean? There's never been something like that.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
After a podcast, like a really good conversation, do you find the person kind of like lingering? Not like lingering,
but like staying here and talking,
like
talking,
to keep that talking going.
Oh, I love it, man.
Oh, so do I. It blew our minds. We're like, because some of these people, they'll hang out for like a half hour, just like hanging out, talking. I'm like, we must be doing something right because they don't want to leave.
Yeah, no, like there's times where like we'll get done doing a podcast, we'll literally sit right here on this corner, have a drink, and just shoot the shit, man. Because like there's so much you can talk about, and there's also sometimes where you don't get to the whole conversation,
right.
And then I have a part 2, or we make it like a continuous thing. I've been
loving our part 2s.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
We've kind of come to peace with that. I tell them all like the first episode is a foundational one, and then we tell the listeners like you'll see him again. Yeah. You'll see him again.
Well,
we're not even close to done.
He does the cliffhanger moment. Cliffhanger moment.
Yeah, I've tried to find a moment where like. Cut it. You want to keep them going, and then we hit them with the final questions, and we're out.
Yeah. It's a good thing to do, man. There's definitely nothing wrong with that. And like the podcasting thing is art, dude. You have your styles and stuff. You see what your audience likes and everything. And there's times where I'm like, you were asking me how long the podcast usually runs for, and it's like usually around an hour. And then there's other times where 2-3 hours. It just depends on what's going on, kind of thing. But I think it's good to get those part 2s because you know the person now.
Right.
You have an idea of them. You're like, okay, so what's happened in this past year? That's usually what I do. I usually wait like a year, and then we'll have them back for another part 2 kind of thing. And I think it's fun doing that.
We did have one, and I'll send you his info because this man needs to be talked about. Jake Van Cleef.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We've already had him back twice inside of like 6 months, and I want him to keep coming back.
Is he still in Ireland?
He's Scotland, but
Scotland. Yeah.
He came back for Christmas. This dude. We call him AI Jesus.
AI Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude, he is studying AI and governance at the Edinburgh Institute in Scotland to help the world.
This guy's like legit crazy.
Jesus, yeah.
To help the world better understand how AI is going to affect us on a global scale. But
military contracts and everything.
Oh, 100%. Like, dude, AI is a thing. Yeah.
He was like a hippie, then a Marine. Like went full hippie, then full soldier. Like him and his buddy hiked Mount Fuji in vans one night in a typhoon. Yeah. He ended up carrying a dude up the mountain. Like they find a dude halfway up the mountain,
who had fallen off the cliff.
Yeah, and he's dying. So Jake's like, "I'll stay with the dude in the freezing cold. You go back another like 10 hours in this typhoon, try to get help." He decides. He's just wearing like skater boy, like
Vans.
Yeah. And he decides, I'm going to carry this dude 2 hours up the mountain because if not, he's going to die. He ends up in some like Shinto
monk
temple.
Yeah.
Like talking life perspectives with some Shinto monk for like 4 hours. His buddy shows up after like 2 hours of sleep, and then they hike to the top.
What the fuck?
Yeah, never like went back home. After the situation. Just no, we're finishing this.
And that's just one of his stories.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, there's people out there, like, you'll sit down and you're like, what'd you say?
Yeah, it's
like,
nuts.
We had a dude on here. He has a clothing brand called Bold Forever, and he's a military dude. He is a paratrooper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was the last ones to go during the pullout of Afghanistan.
Oh.
He was talking to me about that. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I jump out of planes behind enemy lines. I'm like, what? I'm like,
I can only imagine.
I respect everybody who signs that piece of paper, but you're not getting my ass out there. I'm too big. They'll see me too quickly. So you'll see my head bopping around. I'll be dead in two freaking seconds, man. I swear to God.
I'm too tall and I'm too white. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, you're gonna see my ass there. I swear to God. But no, like that's the thing, man. It's like when you sit down with these conversations, you never know where it's gonna go.
What's gonna happen? Exactly.
You know, there's all kinds of stuff, and then there are some serious ones. Like we've had some like real serious talks with people who not want to be here anymore. Taking themselves out kind of thing. Yeah. But we've also had one where there's another one that was called A Prestige Barbershop. It's on Touchland Road here in Jacksonville. Shout out to them. The mom's son was like killed right in front of her. Like someone like walked up and shot the dude like right in front of her, and she like broke down talking about the like getting with help groups and everything like that, and like was putting that stuff out there. So there's two like really crazy ways that conversation can go, and it makes me feel better. Like every time I get to do a podcast, I get charged up, I'm excited, and then like usually afterwards I'm like, that was a fucking awesome conversation.
Every time.
Like I was saying, it's like those perspectives only bring like more perspective to your problems. So it's like, oh my God, that person went through that. I've never been through anything that could ever.
Exactly.
It's like, why am I complaining about?
Well, what's that old saying?
That's the shit.
What's that old saying you said? If everybody threw their problems in.
In a table, and everybody could see everybody else's problems, you'd pick yours right back
Oh yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Life is hard for everybody, man. That's the thing that you learn just through talking to it. It's just there's no like you always think like, oh, I'm just gonna go this way and I'm gonna go take a left, go right, and then it's just up and down, jagged. Like you were saying with that man going up and down the mountain, man. It's hard. When it comes to y'all show, do you guys have a favorite or person or maybe one that at least an episode that you feel like either inspired you more or helped your perspective or something that stood out to you guys on that show?
For me, I know, well, I'll give you two parts. The most impactful one for me was my father. We brought him on the first time, and to go from a place where you don't even think you have a father to where now I've shared the trade with this man. I am now recording a podcast with this man, and kind of like what you said, knowing forever I'm going to get to go back. If I have children, my children and their children are going to see what their great-great-grandfather's personality was like. I was crying on the podcast. It was great. It was wild.
That was a great episode.
I'd say my favorite, don't pick on me, other guests.
I say that to people too.
The most fun was either Jake or Elena Brandner.
Okay.
Elena Brandner is arguably one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met.
Most inspiring for sure.
I'll link you guys up with her
Definitely.
too. She's
love to have her there, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm bringing her on for the second time. I'll let you discover it on your own.
Yeah, man, 100%.
How about you, Max?
For me, I really enjoy when we bring comedians into the spotlight because comedians always have like a very dark to light kind of approach to life. And my favorite so far that we've done, I mean, I miss Scott Wally because I was editing in the other room. At this point, I wasn't able to be part of the actual episode. It was just them two. But Sean Patrick Murphy, bro.
That was a good one.
Bro, that brought a whole new like perspective to my life, to his way of approaching life. But I mean, I couldn't really 100% tell you a favorite one.
I understand.
Because out of every single one that we've had, I've found so much value.
It's just like moments.
Exactly. They're just like every time like we stop an episode, I look over and I'm like, dude, how good was that conversation?
Yeah.
Like it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. It's like, holy crap, man, that's amazing.
You nailed it on the head. Like it's hard to, but I will say I do want to give a special shout out to Adam Lowry.
Because
he's
the man. Yeah.
Without him, he ran the Madcaps Comedy Club. He's a stand-up comic. He is an unbelievable guest to have on one day. He was on the JRE. He was he was doing a study,
episode 500 and something.
He was doing he got blackballed as a psychologist because he went on the JRE and he talked about this thing he was writing called The Chemical Incarceration, and then he wrote a book, Cognitive Rampage, and he's actually the first one after I got into comedy. He was the one that grabbed me by the shoulders and was like, "Kyle, you're spiraling, dude." And he took me in as a little brother.
Yeah.
And he gave me enough distance to be my own man, but never let me get outside the line. So like Trash to Treasure, we would not be here without Adam.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a big comedy fan. Like I say, the JRE, obviously, everybody listens to JRE.
Right.
But like, whether it comes to like all the comedians, like Bill Burr, I've also like even started listening a little bit more about Dice Clay, like some of the greats, like way before my time. Dude. But like that's how I got into podcasting was the JRE, was Two Bears, One Cave, was your Mom's House podcast. Yeah, like all them.
That's the first one I ever subscribed to was Your Mom's House.
Yeah, I love y'all's playlist is probably identical.
I
fucking love Tom Segura. Tom Segura, like when you talk about like the dark comedy side of things, like he takes you like down, it takes you down a real dark path, and it's a curveball. You're like oh shit. But also another one which is involved with Two Bears, One Cave, Ryan Sickler, the Honeydew podcast.
The Honeydew, yes.
I like
his laugh is contagious,
dude. So funniest story about him. I thought he was a black dude. To be 100% honest with you, dude. Whenever like I was I hadn't seen him, and like the way he was, he's from Baltimore, so he has like a certain like twang to him and everything like that. And like the first time I saw him, I was like,
what the heck?
I'm like, who the fuck is that? That's Ryan Sickler? Because like it's just funny hearing him talk. And I'm like, I would have never guessed that. And apparently that's a thing. Like Tom Segura's talked about it. He's like, everybody thinks that Ryan Sickler's a black dude. And it was just the funniest shit. But like those kinds of podcasts, man, those are the really early ones. Unfortunately, I think some of them have kind of changed. Like in my opinion, I don't think Two Bears, One Cave isn't as good as what it used to be.
I no longer subscribe to them anymore.
Yeah, but I still do like Your Mom's House podcast. I like Christina Pazynski. I do like Tom Segura's the shit. I love him.
He's awesome.
And then Rogan, I just love his perspective on everything, dude. It's crazy to see. Like I've watched him for probably damn near 5 years now. Yeah, seeing how he's kind of changed a little bit. You know what I mean? Seeing his perspectives change from conversations and everything. It's very interesting to see that.
Well, it's funny because like I see a lot of people around judging him, right? And it's just like, how can you judge Like, if you've watched any of his episodes with whatever guest, the guy never sits on an opinion or like a point of view. He asks the best questions.
Exactly.
It's like, how can you get mad at somebody who's asking the best questions? And he's not taking any sides, which is another thing that's like, he does take sides from time to time, but it's like, because it made sense.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, that actually made sense to me. Like, now I understand your point of view. And when people tell me, like, oh, I don't like Joe Rogan, it's like, what don't you like about him? He's the perfect middle ground to everything.
And he straw man's things. You know what I mean? Like, he goes for both sides when he's having a conversation.
He tries to figure it out.
Yeah. He's the first one to say, like, that's what I've always loved about like, I like his comedy, and I really loved his perspective on podcasting, because he's the first one to tell you, he's like, don't listen to me.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm just a dude with a microphone.
Yeah.
Like, one of his newest bits, where he was getting a lot of hate. He's like, I was canceled so many times during COVID because, he's misinformation about vaccines. And he's like, why are you listening to me for medical advice?
Exactly. But he has the top people on there, dude. Like, he's had freaking what's his name in Russia right now? The dude who put out the thing about the Patriot Act and the whistleblower, Snowden. He's already had Snowden on there. He's also had people on there who have created, the technology for things and like all this different kind of stuff. I'm like, how are you going to say he's wrong when the person who's right there in front of him is the one who created this?
Joe's just curious.
I love it.
He's like, and I think we as like genuinely curious podcasts, because I mean, I'd be willing to bet that you guys are like us, to where we say, like, I don't care if I make a penny ever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this forever.
Exactly.
Now, granted, yes, of course, I would like it to become financially solvent, have an outer studio to progress, but Rogan kind of planted the seed for us to see, like,
genuine conversation,
just
can
curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity,
and consistency, man.
And consistency, that's everything.
That's the main thing, man. Like, when it comes to like the podcast game, I've seen people get into it, get really excited, and then they don't ever post, or they post, no hate on this, like once a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a weekly guy. I like posting weekly stuff. I like I like staying busy. Every single week, unless I get a couple in the bank. You know what I mean? Which we do sometimes. Sometimes we'll do like 3 or 4 in a week because we know we have a busy month or 2 coming up, kind of thing. But we're consistent. Like, we've only missed 2 weeks in the 3 years that we've done the podcast.
That's
congratulations.
Yeah,
that ain't easy.
No,
especially if you're not banking. Like, we did the same thing. We almost ran out.
Yeah.
We came down to last week, and we're both busy. So me and Max were like, all right, this next month we're going hard.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do, man. Because like, I'll have that, and it also gives me time, because like, I do all the editing of this stuff. So like, everything you see on YouTube, everything you guys see posted on social media.
Man.
Yeah, well, Shannon helps out too. She gets like social clips and stuff, but she kind of lets it and leaves it to me, kind of thing. But it's just, man, it's either you like it or you don't. Yeah. That's the main thing.
Well, one thing I told him when he asked me, let's start this podcast, I was like, man, the only way that this is going to work is if we stay consistent. Overall, it doesn't matter what's happening. The world might be crumbling down. You have to press post.
Yep.
If you want this to work, and that's one thing. It's funny because we had this conversation on the way up here. I keep saying that last year was like one of my worst years of my life, because of all the shit that's happening. But looking back, like, let's say 2 years from now, starting this podcast last year was probably one of the most valuable things I've ever done in my life.
Oh, yeah, man.
Because again, that therapy, that perspective change, you know what I mean? And so yeah, it's if you're not staying consistent and more in this social world, you really are not going to do anything.
It's the thing, man.
And having like 10 episodes ahead, like knowing that in the hard drive there's 10 episodes that we just haven't even touched. It's almost like, okay, well, now we can breathe.
Yeah.
Let's plan.
That's the most stressful thing for me when it's like the week I'm like, I don't have anything backed up. I'm like, fuck, I need to get someone on here.
Yeah.
But that's when I'll also sit there. I'm like, I'm not going to try to rush a conversation or have someone on here that I'm just want to get someone on here kind of thing.
Right.
That's
why
thing.
we love the family episodes.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, you know what? We have nobody around. Let's just have a conversation. That's what happened this week.
We've also realized that, like, well, a couple of things. Like, one of the revelations I learned about with consistency, one thing we talked about is, like, once you learn that you can be consistent, all your excuses go out the window. Like, we talked about it on the way here, where we're like, in spite of everything, in spite of all the bullshit that we want to point fingers at, we stayed consistent every week with this podcast. So now that we know we're capable of it, there's no more excuses. It's like not working out, not doing right, not doing what you're supposed to do. Like, they're all excuses now.
Oh, yeah.
Because we know we're capable of it. And then it's like we learned that I'm not sure if there's anything in life that cannot be accomplished with positive, consistent action and patience.
Yep.
That's it, dude.
Like,
that's the foundation.
Just give yourself time, man. Like you said, like, I had no background in this. My first podcast, I'm sure if you listen to the audio, man, it sounds like shit. It sounds like absolute shit.
Same with us. You'll find me on my very first podcast. Yeah. I'm talking into my iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm we didn't have another microphone. Sorry, guys.
But that's just how you make it work, man. And that's awesome. There's been times where me and Shannon have had to put shit together and get it figured out. Or like with me, it's just like I just try to schedule stuff. That's like my thing. I'm very scheduled person. I know what time I'm going to work every day. I know what's going to happen. She gets like a schedule on Monday saying, hey, this is what we got going on throughout the week, kind of thing. And it's just a good way of doing it. But the consistency is key, man. Got to put stuff out there. The more content you put out there, as you said, you never know what video will be seen. You never know who's watching the video. You guys found me, you know what I mean? And I remember you liked one of my social clips, and I was like, I saw that. I was like, oh, cool. And I just went back and just liked everything. We started talking kind of thing. It's just that's
how it works.
How it works.
I mean, that's how we get just the other day we had the Brothers Within on. Shout out to them guys. They got a show coming up on at Reggae Rise Up, doing some really good things. But I never thought I would have got them. But I just reached. Like most of our guests, I'm just on Instagram. I'm just like, hey, and I just reach out to this random person, and they're 90% of the time they're super stoked.
That's how I do it. 100%. I email people and freaking just send social media stuff and now we're lucky enough where people are hitting us up. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the thing we've gotten lucky with now is just we've posted so much and we've talked to so many people where we collaborate on posts and stuff. People just see shit.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, you're like, sure. Or they'll hit me up and I'll look at this stuff. I'm like, oh, actually, I do want to talk to you. I didn't know I did, but I do want to actually have a conversation with you. But so when it comes to what is the final goals for the podcast? I heard you kind of say maybe trying to get out of go get your own space, an outside space. That's one of our goals.
Eventually,
yeah. Eventually, obviously, it's not happening now.
Yeah.
I've even talked about whenever we buy a house, you can get those real big ass sheds from Home Depot.
Yep.
Getting a 2-story one of those and then kind of building one of those out.
Sheds,
yeah. I think that would be cool, man. Just get it all insulated, get everything looking nice in there, and I would even put a bar in there and hang out. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a good spot.
That's kind of what we're talking about, where we want to get something you would see in an industrial park. And it's got a couple offices in there, because Max, he runs Unlimited Solutions, and I'm a salesman. I'm trying to learn how to become a salesman or a booking agent for that. And we want Trash to Treasure to be a foundation for many things. Like the next step for me, we call it my side quest off of this, if it ever becomes, is I want to build like an animal rescue.
I like that.
Trash to Treasure animal rescue.
Love that. I love animals, man.
Me too. My family's always been big into it, and we want to not only just push perspectives to people, that's why we try to navigate into, if they're willing to talk about a deeper subject, we will, as you've seen on so many of our podcasts, but we just want to help.
Yeah.
We just want to help in any way we can. Really.
Be a bright light, man.
Yeah, there you go.
You were talking about animals. Me and her, when we first got together, had a mini pig.
Mini pig.
Yeah. Her name was Lulu.
Lulu.
Yeah, she was super cool, man. She was litter box trained.
Oh my God.
She lived with us in an apartment.
Cool.
And she she would sit, she would play fetch. She was
smart.
Awesome. She'd sleep in bed with us, all kinds of stuff, man. That's my favorite little tidbit. With me and my parents, whenever I was like, hey, can we get a pig? I was like, please. I'm like, we have a backyard. And I'm like, we can have a fucking pig. And they're like, no. I was like, all right, when I turn 18 and move out, I'm getting a pig. And I did that. Literally, we moved out into our apartment for the first one. I think it was 3 weeks in. I was like, all right, you want to go get a pig with me? And we found someone in DeLand, Florida. And they, we went over there and there was a whole thing of pigs. And they're like, pick one. I was like, okay. I was like, And I found the smallest one. I was like, I'll take the runt. And they're like, okay. They literally had us give them their vaccinations. They literally handed me the pig. They're like, all right, so you're going to get the tuft of the neck. You're going to put it right there. And then that's all you got to do.
That is awesome.
I looked at them. I was like, okay.
I don't want to stab this thing. Yeah. I just got it.
I was like, I don't want this thing's gonna be mad at me. But the first time picking up a pig, he's like, I'm not a country boy, but my family had up north in Pennsylvania, they had horses and cows and shit. But pick up a pig and hearing it squeal.
Yeah.
That was the loudest squeal I've ever heard in my life. It threw me off for a second. I was like, holy shit.
It'll send you for a loop, dude.
But animals, man, I love animals. I want to get a piece of land, as you said, and be more like a sanctuary kind of thing. Where we'd have cows, chickens for eggs, but not killing anything. It'll just be, they'll be hanging out, living life. Awesome. Get those, maybe an ostrich or an emu.
Emus.
We can get an emu.
Those things freak me out,
dude.
Man.
I love. There's a video on Instagram, a girl who has an emu and a couple other, but it always attacks her.
That's what I'm saying.
I've heard
it's the funniest videos in the world. She'll be like doing a video, like put her phone somewhere, and she'll be like doing something, and all of a sudden the emu would come out. He's like, "Stop, Josh," or whatever. Clark, stop, Clark. You get over there, Clark.
Damn it, Clark.
Yeah, it's the funniest thing ever. It's like the personality.
I love animals, man. If you're ever in Jacksonville or in St. Augustine area, you may have heard of it. Have you heard of Caddyshack? So it's a big tiger sanctuary here, and they have everything there. Yeah, Shannon, we went together. Yeah, they have like all big cats. So any kind of cat you can think of, from a lynx to a tiger to a lion. I'm
so in.
They have bears there,
awesome.
A couple other ones. And when back in the day when I was doing pest control, we had to go treat a private zoo that they were about to make like a public zoo for everybody, and I got to hold a lemur.
Cool.
I thought that was fucking sweet. It hugged me. Awesome. Like it's just like a little. It was like a little human being was hugging. Yeah. And they like, you would think they're like thicker, but like when you put your hands on them, your hands go like this. You're like, oh shit, you're kind of like just all fur, aren't you? But I also want otters. I think otters are fucking cool. They got the little hands. They're like what's up?
I heard they're dicks.
Are they?
No, they can be extremely aggressive.
Yeah,
really.
Like they're the cutest things on the planet.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very aggressive.
We might have to rethink that, dear. Because there's two different kinds of otters. There's like the small river otters, and then there's those big motherfuckers.
Oh, the Alaskan? Yeah, those things are ridiculous. But yeah, no, the little ones, they can, I've heard. We had one, my parents, because they got a little pond out front. Speaking of pigs, they got a potbelly pig named Petunia.
I love it. Petunia, what's up?
Well, she was like, we had her in the house, and then she just like, then next thing you know, like it's like a full-size pig just in the house. And we're like, Ma, come on. And she's like, no. She's staying inside. I'm like, it's a pig, Ma. Like it's a full blown pig is in the house. But yeah, no. And then we had otters out front. They were hard to get. Like if you get like a little pond out front, they'll leave you alone. But like, I feel like if you get a little dog and they get a little testy, they might.
It's like the kangaroos. Have you seen the videos of kangaroos? Like a headlock a dog kind of thing.
Dude.
Can you imagine walking out seeing an otter just like wrestling our dog? I wouldn't know what to do with ours. I was on that.
I feel like a kangaroo, like it's safe to punch.
Those things, dude. She was showing me.
I wouldn't feel bad.
She was showing me a video. Apparently, there's like ones that are like the red ones. I think you were saying were the big ones. They can get up to like 6'8", like 250 pounds. They're jacked. I'm like,
holy crap! It says huge animal.
Yeah, it's bigger than me.
Yeah. So even if I punched it, wouldn't do nothing. Nothing.
I feel like you just kind of have to like just lay there and just be like, all right, we'll see what happens.
That's like the first time I ever saw like a cowboy punch a horse.
Yeah.
like full on as hard as he could right cross because the horse was acting up. And like me as a young kid, I was just a little kid. I'm like, Ma, he can't do that to the animals. And like he kind of explained to me like a big smart animal like.
They'll fuck with you.
You have to shock them.
Well, you just got to let them know, like, I get that you're 1,000 pounds, but I'm in charge kind of thing. It's crazy.
My uncle up north breaks horses.
Wild approach.
So, yeah, he has to do all that shit.
You got to let them know what's up a little bit. It's not abuse, especially when the animal doesn't even feel it.
No. But anyways. No, you're good. We skipped over the production side of things. I want to make sure we talk about that.
Yeah,
what's the name of your company again? And
Unlimited Solutions Media is the final, name that we kind of came up with.
I like
there's been a couple of ideas on, through the years, but I've worked with other corporations. Like I worked with T&M Entertainment down in Miami, South Beach, which I got to experience a lot of. That's kind of like my introduction to cameras and my introduction to production. But and then after that, I moved back to home, New Smyrna Beach, and then started working with a guy whose company was Ocean View Towers.
Okay.
Or Ocean Video Photography.
I just said.
And kind of worked with him for a couple years. Kind of, towards the end, we separated. We had very separate philosophies on how to do finances.
Understand.
So then that's kind of where Unlimited Solutions Media started. But yeah, man, my entire life, I got my first photo published when I was 16 years old.
Nice.
I shot it when I was 15 in Hawaii. I got taken to a surf trip, shot a random photo of a surfer.
Nice.
Ended up making it into a magazine, and I never looked back since. So
that's badass, dude.
Man.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was like the first time I ever I pressed the button, and then 6 months later, I made like $400.
Damn.
For that photo. So I was like, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
What did I just do? So then kind of escalated to me now running my own business and been able to do commercials. Was able to do a commercial for Plantation Bay Golf Course and ICI Homes, which made it into CNN and MSNBC.
Wow.
It was like an 8-week campaign. That kind of gave me the idea, okay, you can actually do this. So then kind of now I have a commercial on Hulu and I have a couple of things. So, but it's really weird because I'm self-employed. I got my own company, but now that I've gotten into that commercial side of things, I realize that it's all very union, and they don't like outsiders.
Yeah.
So now that I've been trying to approach these bigger companies to do bigger commercials, like, bigger budgets, they always have some type of union company that will take over, and that's just what they do.
Gotcha.
And then my friend told me, he goes, Max, well, why don't you put your company in the union? And I was like, well, that'd be an idea, but then there's all these loopholes, you know, and things like if you join the union, then you can't really do your own jobs in your own time. So then I got to find a balance, because I'm not going to be the union's bitch.
Exactly.
For lack of a better word.
You don't want to be cornered. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, what if I find something this way? And I'm going to have to say no to that?
Exactly.
I'm not going to do that. So I got to figure out what to do next, you know, what the next step for my company should be. I've reached a ceiling. I've kind of hit a ceiling, and I don't know how to break through that ceiling. Sorry.
You're good.
And and just, you know, that's kind of how it's been. It's been an amazing journey. I've been able to experience incredible things. Like I was when I was in Miami, I got to shoot. My boss doesn't do wedding rehearsals or like dinner rehearsals and things like that. He just does the wedding. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go shoot the dinner rehearsal. Me and my friend Nick Crowball, and he told us before we went to the place. He goes, Max, there might be some famous people at this party, at this dinner, so just act right. Do not act like they're famous. Do not act like they're celebrities. Just act normal. Act like an employee. Call them. Take a picture of them. Blah, 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 blah. Barry Gibbs ends up showing up from the Bee Gees.
That's fucking sweet.
I mean, this guy looked like God.
Yeah.
He showed up with a white suit, with a white hat. I mean, it was the most amazing thing. And we're like, dude, and then I looked over at my friend. I'm like, right, he's staying alive, dude. He's staying alive.
That's badass.
You know what I mean? It's just like that. We're kids, dude.
I'll be hyped about that. That's fucking sweet.
We're tripping.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, you know, that kind of got me started in the industry, and man, it's been a blessing.
What would you say is the hardest part about being a business owner?
The business.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm really good at one thing, and that is director of photography, lighting, kind of like understanding the production side. But when it comes to running a business, holy cow.
I can imagine, man.
That is hard, man. That is hard. I'm still in the process. If anybody out there wants to help, I'm just looking for booking agents and people that can just kind of help me get to the next level. I'm not trying to make all the money. I'm just trying to make some of the money.
You gotta live.
And hopefully the other half of the money is, you know, building this business that I really want to build. It's been part of my life since I was 16, so I don't know anything else. If I'm not doing video production or photography, I'm washing dishes.
I feel
somewhere.
You.
So that's I have everything in on this. So
love it, man.
Yeah, man. I'm still moving forward. Things are happening. You know, I'm busy. So
say if someone wants to reach out to you and wants to start working with you in some way, shape, or form, what's the best way for them to get in contact?
So you can go to www.unlimitedsolutions.org.
It'll be linked in the description as well.
Yeah, thank you. And then just, you know, there's a chat box there, and you can just reach out directly right to me.
You got a full portfolio on there, right?
Yeah. My portfolio's on there on unlimitedsolutions.org. You can see all the videos and all the commercials that I've shot, and real estate. I mean, I do. Again, my strengths lie in this very commercial, promotional world. I can shoot anything and everything, but that's kind of where my strength lies.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of what I want to stick with that. I do weddings. You know, I have a team that shoots weddings and all that stuff. I got editors, so it's been good, man. It's been good. I can't complain. It's been a rough. What I like to say is I'm pushing the boulder uphill, but I'm still pushing it.
That's all that matters.
Back at me, but I'm pushing it.
I feel like that's every business owner, man.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, there's some part of it you're just like, this. I don't really know about this kind of thing, but that's where you have to have like a tribe, a tribe of people.
Yeah, I'm realizing it takes a team. It takes a village to grow something.
Oh, 100%.
With substance, you know.
Dude, when it comes to video side, sorry, go
ahead.
I
was just gonna say before we get off of that, he's also Unlimited Solutions. He's kind of leading the charge with comedy specials.
Oh, comedy specials.
Nobody is doing what he's doing in the Central Florida area.
That would be an amazing thing to get
any
into,
comedians listen out, if you have any interest in putting stuff together, this guy, he's done some amazing work in the comedy world.
Go check it out.
Yeah, go help. Go support, man. Go get a nice special made. You know, gotta get your name out there too. That'd be badass, dude.
It's funny because like in the comedy, I'm not a comedian, but in the comedy world, that's like sacrilege. Like, oh, well, you've only been doing it for 8 years and you're going to do a comedy special? You don't deserve a comedy special. But it's like, man,
in today's world, the rules have changed.
Yes. Yeah, well, comedy's grown to what it is now. You know what I mean? Comedians are superstars. They're not the grunge rock, you know, rock and roll. There still is that, and that's on the way up kind of thing.
They're that, but with like a lot of money under them.
Hey, man, there's some big names out there, dude. It's crazy to see. Like, I remember like we were talking about watching podcasts first, like where they are at now. Like, you know, Rogan's always been kind of big and all that stuff, but like Tom Segura
or like Flagrant, the Andrew Schultz and those guys. Like, those guys went from zero to like now being some of the top dudes.
I mean, heck, take it all the way back back to like that clip that's going viral right now is when Joe went on Tom Green's podcast for the first time. Long, like way before podcasting was ever even a thing. Yeah. Tom Green set up this whole thing, and Joe goes on. He's like,
"What is this,
dude?"
He had hair. He had hair in the video. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, Rogan had hair. Yeah,
that's back when you had to put in like crazy work.
I think he had
reality.
I think he had his own like LAN tower or lane tower, whatever the hell it was.
I believe it.
The internet connections and everything were so crazy back in the day to like be able to actually do that.
Well, you had to have a fucking like obviously this wasn't back in the day of the first computer, but like you had rooms full of this stuff. Like a terabyte of something was like this fucking big long. Now like I have it connected to my computer. I have a 1 terabyte like external hard drive. It's this big, this thin, and it's like it's crazy to see. Yep. But it's just that's the stuff that gives me hope, man. It's just you know you start somewhere. Just start it. That's the hardest thing.
Doesn't matter how you start, just matters that you start.
Well, that's what I tell people, man. It's just like, you know, people get stuck on this one part. They're like, what if this doesn't work out? Or what if I don't do this right?
Dude,
or
what ifs, man. Yeah. The what ifs are so negative. I wish people would use what ifs in a positive side.
Exactly.
Like, what if I do go viral? Mm-hmm. What if I do have Joe Rogan across the seat?
What if I enjoy talking to the person in the room next to me?
Like, there are so many different approaches to that what if thing, man.
It is. And just, I think the main thing, though, is just what people need to keep is why you started. And have fun, man. Enjoy it. You know, like there was times where I was getting stressed. Like when I first started the podcast, I had that mindset of like, why aren't a million people looking at? I posted the video. I posted at the right time. I put the right hashtags. Why isn't this working? And you just have to look at yourself and be like, just make better content. Just keep putting stuff out there. You never know what's going to stick.
Trial and error.
One of my biggest videos is from us talking about, is me and her talking about, whenever we do our like family sessions, we always do would you rather questions, top threes, and all that kind of stuff. I asked her one about would you rather get $1 for every time you take a step for a year or $5 million right now?
Holy cow.
That was one of our biggest clips. I think everybody was talking about that shit. Like everybody was commenting.
That's a good question.
It was something I saw on social media one day and I was like, ooh, I'll screenshot that real quick. I was like, that's a good one. And
let's see. Let me see if I can make a decision there. I think
I can take any amount of steps I want.
5 million? No, well, like just on a daily basis. Like, how many steps do you already take?
I will walk everywhere for
exactly.
a year.
I'd quit my job.
Yeah, dude. I'm just gonna walk for a year. I'll be fine.
I'll do it's like the Forrest Gump. You know what I mean? I started walking, and then a year later, I just stopped. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be the greatest test of immediate gratification. Could you ignore 5 million and then for the possibility of surviving another year?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
And especially if you're walking everywhere, now you're risking a lot.
It sucks because let's get into that.
I'd take the 5 million.
Investing nowadays is somewhat easy.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. So it's like 5 million could be turning into 10 million in maybe 6 months.
But what if the market?
You have the 5 million.
But what if the market drops and then all you're like,
screwed.
If it's all in market share, it sucks.
But that's the thing is
that's so amazing.
That's
like a good question.
That is a phenomenal question.
I'm gonna look it up because I was like, what's the average like person step per year? How many?
Like I know the S&P has gained 13% or 8%.
Yeah, over the last like 50 years.
Yeah, over the last 50, 60 years, regardless of crash or not. So it's crazy when you think about that. You're like, wow.
That's one of the better questions I've ever heard.
So on average, the average person takes around 2,496,235 steps per year.
And you get $100 per?
You get $1 per step.
Yeah. So you make $2.5 million a year.
That's just the average, though.
I was going to say, like,
here in the United States, there's people who also don't fucking move. You know what I mean? So there is that. You know what I mean? So that's included in the average.
Yeah, and I'm an elevator guy. I'm on my feet.
I'm always walking around.
Dude, I shoot one wedding in 8 hours, and I'm literally I've ran like 10 miles in one wedding.
Oh, I really don't stop moving.
It's crazy. No, you don't ever stop moving.
When we watched our wedding photographers, we had them on here as well, and like it was crazy watching them move. They were like, they had like the little different cammers on their hips, like switching always things hunting. Out, like doing shit. Yeah. They did a great job. I'm sure they have some videos that I would not want posted out there in the world of me. But no, man, it's just like as we started the podcast, man, it's just fun doing it.
Yeah,
it's good getting out there, man. Good getting out there and talking to people, learning their stories, and you guys are doing your thing as well. And like I said, thank you guys for coming up and talking to me today, bro.
Dude, this is awesome.
You never have to thank me for this. This is my passion of life.
We can make it regular, man. Hit me up anytime. Likewise. If you guys ever need a guest or something like that for New Smyrna, it'll probably be more the weekends for me kind of thing.
Right.
But like I said, I'd be more than happy to come on and say Shannon has a story as well. I'm sure she'd love to come on there and shoot the shit.
Please.
She tries to say she's not a part of the podcast. She is part of like a very big part of the podcast. She was also my very first ever conversation I got all my equipment. And I'm like, I want to do one. Let's do it. And we sat down and talked, and it's still the most listened to episode ever.
That's incredible.
As a couple, how does that help you guys just with your relationship to be able to sit down and have great conversations? Like, or is this something you have, of course, on a daily basis?
That was one thing. So learning from past relationships, like I was in a terrible relationship before me and her started dating, and where I couldn't talk, everything was an issue and everything, and I kind of bottled everything up. Me and her got to a point where like we just talked, when we were like first dating, there's like jealousy and blah, blah. We're in college. Oh, you said something to someone, or, it's not just her. It was me as well. Like not saying it was just her, but we got to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to do this thing where we're not talking for 3 days. And like we live together.
The
like
importance of conversation.
Yeah. Well, she also moved in with me 1 month into us dating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
you guys took a swing.
We took a swing and shit happened. 8 years later, we're married now.
Awesome.
Literally me and her met when I was 18 years old and started dating when I was 18, 19 years old. And we just got married a little over a year ago now.
Congrats.
And it's just it takes patience, and having a good partner is a very important part. Shannon is a great person. She's been through a lot of shit in her life, similar to things that I've gone through. So we both kind of are like broken toys that found each other and kind of made a more full toy. I don't know if that's
like that Toy Story scene.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like we're two toys that kind of got like stomped on a couple times and then found each other, and we just made shit work, man. Like life has been hard. What?
I was gonna say, the podcast just gives us something to add to our relationship.
Yeah. There you go.
We get to add like would you rather's and fun top threes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I've learned more about her. Like we try not to say the same stories over and over again. So we it makes us dive deep into past situations. You know what I mean? Or like, I've learned more about her friends, or she's learned more about my backstory. Or you were talking about having your dad on here. I've had my dad, my mom, my stepfather on here. Awesome. We've had them all on here. Yeah. So it's just, it just helps us stay close, and like we're very open, about stuff. Like if we're mad, I'm very much a person that doesn't like to go to bed mad. I want to have that conversation. Yes. We may not be perfectly happy, but at least we hashed it out, got to some point where we can sit there and be like, okay.
I don't think we're supposed to be happy every day.
No.
I really don't. I think the goal, at least my goal personally, is just some level of fulfillment.
Exactly.
Even if that's resolution.
Yeah.
Or some level of it. I think if we're happy all the time, then happiness is going to start to lose its value.
Exactly. It's just like drugs. You know what I mean? You do it the first time and you're on that high and you're chasing that dragon all the time. But happiness is, seeing what you have, being thankful for what you have.
Thankful and grateful, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for me personally, I'm not personally religious, but like I do have like religious undertones of like, do the right thing when no one's looking, be a good person, help people if you can. Like that's the biggest thing. And like I said, man, like I get more out of this podcast than anything, just sitting down and talking with people. Like, if we didn't see each other on the internet, we would not have met today.
Nope.
Yeah.
Isn't that a crazy thing?
Yeah. It's wild, man.
That's the way.
I love to hear the parallels, and all that in the situations. It's really awesome.
It's really refreshing because it lets me know that it's almost like a reminder, like you guys are doing the right thing.
Yes.
Like somebody else believes enough in just talking to good people about whatever, and knowing that, I'm sure you guys share a similar idea. Like with us, it's more, we're having these conversations, and all I could ever ask out of the podcast, one, those people have a freeze frame memory for their family, which I love. It's very poetic. I'm an emotional, artsy guy, but I just hope that somebody out there that's listening, and we actually,
I was just about to bring that up.
We were graced early on. A friend of mine that I disc golf with reached out. He was just going through a divorce or something, and he reached out to our social media, and he was like, "Listen, guys, I really appreciate what you're doing. Like, I've been listening to your podcast, and it's helping me a lot."
That's cool, man.
And that
so
was
things like that. We're like, oh shit, we're actually impacting people.
That's why we're doing it.
Yeah,
right there.
100%, dude. Just if you can make someone's day brighter, just one person. And it doesn't matter the numbers.
It's a huge impact.
It is, man. Yeah. Making someone's day brighter, that makes me feel good. You know what I mean?
Gives the world.
Gives me the warm fuzzies.
One act of random kindness at a time.
That's right. So we're coming to the end of the podcast here. So I got one final question for you, and then we'll break out the guitars.
All right.
So anytime it's someone's first time on the podcast, I always end it with this question, and it is: do you feel successful? And if you do or do not, in what ways?
Yes and no. We actually had a deep discussion about this. I feel successful, or I feel proud of what I've accomplished. Like, I don't like to shed too much light on where I come from, but knowing where I came from to what I've achieved, have I finished the journey? No, because I'm a believer that it's never over.
That's right.
So I mean, I guess I would say I don't know. I'm proud. I'm fine. I'm working every day to be a little bit better as best I can.
Yeah.
But my final idea of success, I have not reached it yet.
That's real, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
Once I've found that balance we spoke to, between like freedom and responsibility. When I'm right in there, and I got one piece of me in each side, then I could answer that question. We'll have that. Well, you can ask me that again.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, for me, I mean, from where I come from and where I'm at, I mean, I can't be more proud of myself. I mean, I have friends that tell me, Max, like, the way you've endured things that you've gone through have proven to me that, I can do them. If you can do them, I can do them, kind of thing. As a professional person doing what I love, which is video production, I feel like I have had a little bit of success, in that aspect, but I don't call myself successful because I feel like my entire life is not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe when I find success is when my personal life and my professional life are somewhat balanced. I don't know if that's even a thing that we're ever going to get to, because life always has ups and downs. But I do feel very proud of what I've achieved with my company and with my skills. I see what other and my favorite directors and DOPs have achieved, so I'm nowhere near that. But yes, I do feel very fortunate and grateful to be doing what I'm doing.
Fuck yeah, boys. I like that. And those were both solid answers. And we're going to have a Who Are You First here. So we're going to have some music put on here.
Can I ask you one of my favorite questions?
You're more than welcome to. Ask me.
I have one. It's like my favorite question in the world, and I love to ask everyone.
Yeah.
What do you think it is in society or people that causes us to ignore, like, we know what to do. Mm-hmm. We know to eat healthy. We know to exercise. We know what we're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. In your opinion, what is it that makes us ignore that, even though we know we're supposed to do it?
I think it's insecurity and ego, personally.
I like that.
Beautiful.
The reason why is it's hard to do the right things when no one's looking. Because you have no one looking over your shoulder telling you that you need to do this. Yeah. And that's where it comes from you as a person to have that system in you to know what's right and what's wrong. And obviously what's right and what's wrong is different to different people. Nature versus nurture is a good way of thinking about that. But thinking that you know everything, thinking that you know what is right and you are the rule maker, and that's not always true. It's a hard question because a lot of people will see something and they know what they should do, but they don't want to do it. There's some kind of external force. Like I brought up the fact that I may not be religious, but I think there is something after we're gone kind of thing. And I think that's where the question of what humanity really is there. Because we don't know what's after this. And I feel like a lot of people don't think about that side of things. They think about the now and now what could happen in the future. I'm also not a huge believer, but a part of the believer where, what you put out is what you bring back in. Yeah. So, that's putting it out there in the world. If you're doing bad things are going to come to you. And that's something I learned at a young age. So that's what I would say.
Fucking A, dude. That's great.
Yes.
Sir.
I asked that question.
It's a good question. I was thinking about it.
Favorite question in life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good answer, question,
bro. That was like one of the best. I
appreciate it. I appreciate it. We'll get a good clip of that. That'd be nice. So I'm going to go ahead and grab y'all's guitars. I'll bring those over here for you guys. Right.
Thank you. Which one are we doing? What song are we doing?
We'll probably just do A Friend.
Okay.
We'll do A Friend and then see how you feel about chasing red flags.
Okay. All right.
That will be Maxer.
There you go, sir. Mess with the mics. I'm excited for this. This is Who Are You First?
Yeah, I'm a bass player, so let's hope this guitar skills come up.
He's a musician. Yeah, I actually I've only been writing music 8 months.
I saw you sing one. I saw a video of yours that you posted, I think, a little while back, where it was just you on the couch and you were going off doing your thing.
Yeah, it's like that guy Adam I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. He heard me. I was drunk after a comedy show, and he heard me sing full volume in his house. So he called in some Nashville boys and put on a concert, and he's like, "Hey, you're on this concert." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm like, I barely know how to play guitar. He's like, "Okay, I mean, if you're too scared, you don't have to." I'm like, "All right, when is it?"
I'll fucking be there. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you guys need to adjust the mics, do whatever you guys need to do to make y'all comfortable and everything.
I probably don't even need a mic near me. My voice goes. Max might want to get mic'd up on the guitar, but that's about it.
You're good. Like I said, we can pull things out, whatever y'all need.
I'm just gonna play it. Alright, we'll start. I'll do 2 originals for you guys.
Fuck yeah, man.
Get ready to do an open mic with these.
Do your thing, man.
Max, I'm gonna come over.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand off screen. Y'all do your thing. Get comfortable.
Oh, this is crazy.
Pull that mic, whatever you need to do.
Oh, that's a cool stand.
Yeah,
I like that.
Nice
It's got
one.
like the, like almost. Ooh.
That's the nice one, yeah.
Whoa.
I got you.
Nope. That's good right there. I don't want it to fall.
Here, 1 second. Let me put something on the back of it.
It's probably all right
No,
there.
you're good. Sometimes this table is just a little cheapy. There we go. Let's see. Put something
Yeah, if you just sing to that mic with your voice,
Yeah, no, it'll be
get
fine.
more than enough.
Yeah, my mic, like I got the voice where if I get too close to the mic, it's just gonna sound distorted anyways.
Good.
All right, this first one's called "A Friend." Today I spoke with God as a friend. Didn't ask for nothing, didn't say amen. Sitting on the shorelines, just him and me. Watching the sun go down thankfully. Peacefully patient, amber-soaked skies. No questions to answer, no desires for a while. If I keep choosing moments like this, I'll finally stop chasing that siren's kiss. They tell me if I change fibers of me, I'll finally have the chance to get what I need. He told me the trick to this whole damn game. What I need and want, they're not the same. So let's sit and watch while that sinks in. When you are ready, it's time to begin. Once we get started, there is no ends. You can sit here in silence with me and my friend. Show me the good, bad, and the rest. Didn't bother asking him about all the tests. He showed me the mirror, it's tougher than glass. Wanna see the present, boy, let go of the past. You mentioned the timeline, it has no ends. Family won't break, but sometimes it bends. Then we just sat and watched the light fade. I simply said thank you for the wisdom he laid. So let's sit and watch while that sinks in. When you are ready, it's time to begin. Once we get started, there is no end. You can sit here in silence with me and my
That was rough. I know.
That was fucking awesome. Good.
All right, we'll give you one more.
One more. Get this microphone just a little close so you don't have to turn your head so much.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
All right. There we go. I think I found it better.
That sounded all right?
That sounded great.
Okay.
I love it. There you go.
You gotta remember, like, I'm a new vocalist, and he's not even a guitar player, so we're winging it.
Trust me, I can't do this.
All right, this one's called Chasing Red Flags. You're gonna have to adjust to this one a little bit. Here I go down a road, a lonely path I've seen before. Long time it's been for change. Rip it off, gonna turn the page. Can't drink from a dry well. Climb the steeple, ringing the bell. Riches to rags. Like a bull chasing red flags, riches to rags. Light up chasing red flags.
Trying to find it. Keep going. I think I found it.
Knew I shouldn't have done it, 'cause there ain't no goods coming from this. How could I say no? She's saying nothing, I gotta know. Way she acts, no, I can't see. What did she ever see in me? Could I stop or could I turn? What did I ever see in her? Well, here I go down a road, lonely path I've seen before. Long time it's been for change. Rip it off, gonna turn the page. Can't drink from a dry well. Climb the steeple, ringing the bell. Riches to rags. Like a bull chasing red flags. Riches to rags. Tired of chasing red flags. Like a prayer without amen, or turning where there's no bends. What am I doing here? Frozen in the face of fear. Should I stop or should I turn? What did I ever see in her? Why did I unpack those bags? Got my eyes fixed on them red flags. Here I go down a road, lonely path I've seen before. Long time it's been for change. Rip it off, gonna turn the page. Can't drink from no dry well. Climb the steeple, ringing the bell. Riches to rags. Like a bull chasing red flags. Riches to rags. Tired of chasing red flags. Take it away, Mac. Yeah, we're still working on the ending.
Yeah. Bro, that's very different.
That was awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. That was very different.
That was awesome. Let me get y'all back in the chair real quick so we can make sure we let them know where to follow you gentlemen at. First ever performance on the Who Are You podcast. It was awesome, boys. I like it. I really appreciate you guys letting giving us a little. We're still very. Hey, this is a very new thing for us. There ain't nothing wrong with it, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it sounded good. You guys are fucking awesome, and thank you guys so much again for taking the time out of y'all's day, coming up and traveling up from New Smyrna to Jacksonville, and we made some new friends. So make sure you guys give them a follow. Before we get out of here, let them know where everybody can follow your social media, where they can find the podcast, and all the good stuff. All right. As far as social media goes, you can follow us at trash_treasure_podcast at Instagram. I believe it's the same on TikTok. Our links are all kind of shared among in the bios. Our main platform is YouTube as well as Apple Podcast. And
we'll be on Spotify this year.
Yeah, we'll be Spotify. Yes, sir. We'll be on Spotify soon. So be on the lookout for that. It's a big. Just want to say thank you to you guys, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
This was such a special day for us.
Yeah, man.
We've never got to collaborate, and I couldn't have found two better people to do it with.
Yeah,
so this is spectacular. Hey, man, we're very appreciative of you guys taking the time to come out here and check us out. And like I said, we thoroughly enjoyed it. This won't be the only time. Oh, God, we'll definitely have you guys back on and everything. Yeah. And like I said, anytime you guys need a guest, let us know. We'd be more than happy to come travel down on the weekend, come say what's up, and I got plenty of stories I can share on y'all's podcast.
Yeah, love to have you.
But before we get out of there, definitely let them know where they can follow your company as well.
So personal is MBRE Films. That's acronym for Max Bressan. MBRE Films, just so you know. And then my company is Unlimited Solutions Florida, FL. We're on Instagram. I don't really have a TikTok. But yeah, just Instagram and then unlimitedsolutions.org if you want to check out any of my work. And thank you for having us, man.
Hell yeah, man. No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Make sure you guys go give them a follow on all the social media. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review. Help us podcasters out. We're always needing a good review. Help the podcast get seen by more people. So make sure you guys check them out. They'll be all over my social media, so you guys will be able to see what they got going on. Also, if you guys want to give us a follow, it's going to be at Who Are You Pod from everything from Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all the normal spots. You guys know where to find us at nowadays. And make sure you guys like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Our channel is growing, and we're very thankful for everybody who checks us out on there. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Let us know what you guys are liking, what you guys think we should add to the show, all that kind of good stuff. And then my final thing, if you guys feel like you'd be a good fit for the show, you have a story that needs to be told, you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, an artist, and you feel like you would fit and we'd vibe good on the show, hit me up on any of the social media, or you can email me. It's going to be whoareyoupod@yahoo.com, and maybe we'll have you guys on a future episode. But as I say every week, y'all, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for checking us out, and we'll see you guys next week.